Hello, fight fans. Welcome to another edition of More Than a Fight podcast. This is episode 39, if I'm not mistaken, right, John?
Yeah.
Somewhere around there. I'm your host, Jose Alfredo Alcázar. Today it'll be myself and the man behind the camera.
John.
This one will be dedicated specifically to the world of boxing. We'll be touching on what happened this past weekend and then what's upcoming this weekend, and a couple of news and notes. And we'll kick it off with the main event from this past Saturday, right, John?
Yes. That was Vargas versus Foster.
Rey Vargas against O'Shaquie Foster. And they were fighting for a vacant title at 130 pounds, WBC title, if I'm not mistaken. And this one was an upset in a lot of people's eyes because of Rey Vargas and what he had been doing prior to this fight. And this was his first fight at 130 pounds. If I'm not mistaken, O'Shaquie had been fighting at 130 for some time now. Yes.
Yeah, but I don't know. Vargas' style maybe just wasn't a good mesh with Foster because he looked out of place.
That was part of it. And I just think Vargas never really adjusted properly. And Foster was just boxing very well. And Vargas just didn't know how to, like I said, he didn't know how to adjust. O'Shaquie was doing what he was supposed to do. He was coming in and out. He had a better gauge of distance than Vargas did, in my opinion. I felt like Vargas kept trying to land the jab, but every time he'd throw it, he was hitting air because Foster knew how to gauge his distance. And then if you look at how Foster was landing on Vargas, Vargas didn't know how to get away from O'Shaquie's shots. He was doing a great job, Foster was, of landing his and jumping back out. So his in and out game was great. His defense was great. His gauge of distance was much better. And obviously we saw the result of that because the judges had it one of them had it 119-109, which means it was like a clean sweep, which I thought was a little too much, but props to Foster, man. He came in there, he got his shot, and he took full advantage of it. I didn't like Vargas at the he made a post on social media, said it was a bad decision, said he won the fight. And maybe because when you're in the ring, obviously you're gonna feel like you won the fight, but no, I thought Foster clearly won the fight. Maybe not by 119-109. That's a little too wide for my liking because I felt Vargas at one point did start to land a little more in the middle rounds, but without a doubt, Foster won the fight with his boxing.
He really said that he thought he won the fight?
Yes. He posted it on Instagram. That's where I saw it.
Interesting.
On his page. And I was like, no. I mean, but he's a fighter, of course. He's going to say he won the fight. He felt like he won the fight. And he said it because he posted in Spanish. He felt like he said Foster was running. No, Foster boxed and was being a lot smarter. And again, the one thing that stood out to me was Foster knew how to gauge the distance. He kept the distance between him and Vargas perfect. He landed when he needed to. He got out when he needed to. Vargas couldn't land when he needed to, and he couldn't get out when he needed to. To me, that was the biggest difference between both men. And Vargas is still the champion at 126, so it's not like this loss completely, or he doesn't lose any belts with this loss, but of course he didn't become a 3-time world champion in 3 different weight divisions, which is what he was trying to do, like Emmanuel Navarrete did the past weekend. But props to Foster. And this one thing I want to point out really quick about Foster is his record was 19-2. I bring that up because, again, in boxing, we need to continue to get rid of the loss issue. If you have a loss, it shouldn't matter. And again, this is a perfect example. Foster had 2 losses, came in and fought against a world-class fighter in Vargas. Yes, he moved up in weight, but that shouldn't be a knock on Foster, or it shouldn't be any kind of like finger pointing saying, oh yeah, but he moved up, blah, 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 blah. No, the important thing is that Foster showed up, did what he had to do, and Vargas didn't. And props to Foster. And again, let's get rid of this notion that having a loss or 2 on your record is a blemish or no longer qualifies you to fight a top guy. Here we go, another example. And I love that we're seeing this more and more.
So who do you think he matches up with?
That's a great question because there's a lot of potential fights at 130. So, I mean,
Got
yeah,
Navarrete?
Hector Luis Garcia would be a great fight. Um, Navarrete, I would not go after just yet if I'm Foster. Archie Sharp wouldn't be a bad option. Maybe go overseas and take him on. I think that would be something good for him. But you don't want to. I would personally not put Foster in with Navarrete just yet. Let him fight another top fighter. Not unless he really wants to go after Navarrete and he watched the Liam Wilson fight and said, I can beat that guy because I did what I did against Vargas. And Vargas is a very good boxer, without a doubt.
Mm.
But I would love him to see him fight somebody like Archie Sharp in England. I think that would be great exposure for him. But then again, I don't know what the PBC wants to do. And congratulations to Foster for pulling it out.
No, they'll move on to the next fight, which was um
Mario Barrios
yep.
and Giovanni Santiago.
Sure.
And this fight I felt like was very important as it pertains to Barrios because he needed to win, especially because of the losses he had accumulated. Not that they were against just anybody. He lost to Gervonta Davis. He lost to Keith Thurman. So it's not like you can just say he lost to just anybody. Those were tough fights. And he needed to win this fight. And more importantly, the way he won this fight by stoppage was a big deal because this keeps him relevant at 140 pounds. And maybe he can work his way back up. And again, just like we talked with Foster, just because you have 2 losses does not mean you shouldn't get another shot at the title. Not that I'm saying Barrios should get a shot at the title right away, but he can work his way back up should he beat another top opponent next. And then from there, you can figure out a way for him to get another shot at a title. No, but he looked good. He landed some solid shots on Santiago. And obviously, they did a good job by stopping the fight when they did because, yeah, right there, when he had him up against the ropes, he was just landing some clean shots.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was a good stoppage because you don't want these guys to take too much unnecessary damage. And again, this was a great result for Mario Barrios, so he can stay relevant and again work his way back up and potentially get another shot at a title. I don't know if it'll happen this year. I think 2024 will be when he can maybe, depending on how he ends the year, get another shot at a title in 2024.
I think you'd be surprised. None of these guys are fighting each other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think you'd be surprised. I wouldn't be shocked if he got it at the end of the year.
It's possible. It's possible because of what you said, that the top guys aren't really fighting each other. And we'll touch on it on the news and notes because there's a couple fights that are potentially going to happen at 140 or are rumored to. So that could open the door for Barrios to get a shot again. So you're right. It could very well happen this year.
Yeah.
And then we'll jump to Fernando Vargas Jr.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a quick mention because he did win his fight. Him and his brothers continue to win, which is the most important thing for them. On Marv Nation, shout out to them. They're continuing to put out fights. And he won by stoppage, which is what you want to see for a guy with his name. And of course, because they're still building up their resume, if you will. But he did what he had to do, stop the man. And he's continuing to roll forward. And I think 2024 could be a year where they maybe take on some tougher opposition. No disrespect to the man he fought. I don't want to throw any shade at anybody because getting into the ring is no joke, and it's very difficult to do for anyone. So yeah, props to Fernando Vargas Jr. and the Vargas brothers who keep winning, and that's what they have to do.
All right, and so let's move on to this weekend.
Yes, sir.
We have Neri versus Azat. I'm not trained.
Luis Neri versus Hovyannisan.
Yeah. Azat. Hovyannisan. But
Sure.
should be a decent fight. The
Yeah.
card, it looks horrible.
Yeah, it's not like a big yeah. Well, there you go. It's not a big card, literally. There's only 3 fights that they're going to be airing. Um really it's just that fight that's really the one that's going to be the standout fight.
Yeah.
And again, here's another guy that needs to win, Luis Neri, so he can get back into the mix with the top guys at bantamweight or super bantam. Yeah.
He's been covered.
No, yeah. But and like I said, in order to really get another top guy in there, he has to win. Um the question is, oh, he has to be like Barrios. He's got to pull out that type of a win, hopefully a stoppage, because again, he's got to get back to the top.
All right. And
But the
then
juicier fight will be our time during the day. Leigh Wood versus Mauricio Lara. This fight is going to be awesome. I mean, I don't know how it isn't going to be a great fight. And what I wanted to point out, what I did point out recently on social media was we should give a lot of respect to Leigh Wood because he's the one that won in Mauricio Lara. And for those of you who know about Mauricio Lara, and for those of you who don't, not everybody who's getting in line to fight Mauricio Lara. Trust me, just ask Warrington, who originally picked Lara and lost to him in their first fight. So Lara is a knockout guy. So for Leigh Wood to go, I want that guy, all respect to him because this is not a easy fight and it's a dangerous fight.
Yeah.
And I mean, yeah, you just got to respect Leigh Wood, even though it will be in his backyard. Mauricio Lara is no stranger to fighting in people's backyards. That's how he beat Warrington. And then, oh, go ahead.
Oh yeah, and on the undercard, you have Dalton Smith.
Yes,
Billy
Dalton Smith against Billy Ellington. And they're going to be fighting for the British super lightweight title. So this will be a title fight, the co-main event. And Dalton Smith have recently re-signed with Matchroom Boxing. So this will be his his fight just after he signed his new contract, and great for him. And I hope that Dalton Smith wins. I am being a little biased because I want to see him eventually come to the States and take on somebody over here to show how good he really is. Because that's where you really test yourself. Because the U.S., not to be biased, has the best super lightweights. And if Dalton Smith should win this fight, I'd like to believe Eddie Hearn's going to try to then bring him to the U.S. at some point this year. And then after that fight, we got Gary Cully against Wilfredo Flores. Oh, undefeated. I didn't realize Flores was undefeated.
Yeah, well, one draw.
Yeah. And Cully's been looking really good. And he's one of those fighters that is got that body type that you're not used to seeing at that weight. I believe he's like 6'3", 6'4". He's a tall guy. Where are we? Oh, this is Wilfredo. Cully. Cully is
6'2".
Oh, 6'2". Okay, there you go. Oh, wait, and that forgot too. He's Irish and he's a southpaw. So he's got all that. If he keeps winning with that fan base, who knows what could happen for his career, man. If he keeps winning, of course. But yes, Cully's put on some really good performances. And should he continue, again, he's got that fan base behind him. Irish fans are some of the best boxing fans in the world. I would love to see Gary Cully continue to win and one day maybe put on a big fight of his own in Ireland. It would be awesome.
Get him on the Taylor card.
Oh yeah, that would be great. And and we'll touch on that later too, because there's been some changes made to that fight. And then we also got one of the Yafai brothers on the card. Kieran Conway's gonna be on this card. So there's some pretty interesting boxers on this undercard. So keep an eye out for this one. And again, if you're in the U.S., this will be during the day for us. The main event's usually around 2:30, 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
So it'll be a great fight. I cannot wait for this one.
All right.
And we'll jump into news and notes.
Yep.
because there's actually a lot of news.
Go ahead.
Specifically, we'll kick it off with the news of the day. Edgar Berlanga just signed to Matchroom Boxing, and his promoter will now be Eddie Hearn, because Berlanga recently left Top Rank Bob Arum. So to sign with Eddie Hearn's it's a pretty big deal, because we all know, well, most of us know that Bob Arum and Eddie Hearn don't like each other for stupid boxing reason, or boxing politics is just nonsense. And Berlanga has made it clear. I think he picked Hearn and Matchroom because they have Canelo. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, makes it easier, right?
Yes,
So
absolutely.
I think that you're going to keep seeing that happen. You know?
Yeah, and I mean, obviously Berlanga has a lot of work to do because he did not look great in his recent fights with Top Rank. So how Eddie Hearn brings him along is going to be it's going to be significant to whether or not he can get Canelo into the ring, because he's not going to get him this year. So I would imagine he's at least going to get 2 fights this year. What 2 super middleweights is Eddie Hearn going to put in there with Berlanga is the question.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. We have a good quote. Edgar Berlanga wants to be a world champion, and the fight wants his Canelo Alvarez. We're plotting a route for him to land that showdown with Canelo, and Edgar is ready to take on the best at 168. I mean, it's gonna be interesting without a shadow of a doubt.
While.
Yes, it will. I don't see it happening until 2024, if that.
Yeah, it's gonna be a while.
Yes, and I'm curious to see who Hearn's gonna match him up with. That's really my curiosity, because there's a lot of potential matchups that he could put him in there with. So that's one to keep an eye out for. And Berlanga has to be motivated, because now he does have a path to Canelo that's a lot easier than it would have been with Top Rank. I always hate saying that because it shouldn't be that way. The best should fight the best no matter what. But as always in boxing, it's not that easy. And then the other news we got, I don't think we touched on Anthony Joshua and Termaine Franklin. They'll be fighting on April 1st.
Oh yeah, we did the last one.
Okay, we did. Okay, I wasn't 100% sure if we had. And then, the other thing we wanted to touch on was today Eddie Hearn basically said that Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano 2 probably won't be happening on the 20th of May for a number of reasons. And I want to make sure I credit where I first heard it, which was with Fight Disciples. They mentioned why it wasn't a good idea and why this fight would probably be moved to September. I didn't personally know this because we're really not into rugby in the U.S. And I guess that weekend there's going to be a huge rugby championship, and it's going to take place in Ireland. So it wouldn't be a good idea for them to host the fight that same weekend for a number of reasons.
Yeah.
And rugby is huge in Europe.
Well, yeah, it's a big tournament. You know, the championship. You know, so it's there every year.
Yeah, and more importantly, Hearn did say that the government in Ireland wants that event, but they can't generate much money during that weekend if they were to host that event that same weekend, which makes sense. But now, if you're Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano, more so Katie Taylor, do you wait until September to have your next fight? Or if you're Katie Taylor, do you want to fight before it? That'll be interesting to keep an eye on.
Yeah, I think she probably fights one more time.
Right. Yeah, if you're Katie Taylor, yeah, I mean, I would think so, but we'll see. It'll be interesting to keep an eye out for that, to see if she's gonna fight again, or to see if she'll fight before that, just to have her. No, I don't want to call it a tune-up. I don't like calling it a tune-up. Just to have a fight in between. Let's just.
With Canelo's calling it a run-out.
Oh.
With the John Ryder fight. Yeah.
Oh, yes. I'm glad you touched on that. That's the other one. And I know I did make a short video about it, but yeah, Canelo Alvarez is reported that will be back in the ring on May 6th against John Ryder in Mexico, in his home state of Jalisco, in Guadalajara. So that'll be a big thing for him, because he'll be coming off of surgery. I want to say he had wrist surgery, and then John Ryder will be coming off of his victory against Daniel Jacobs was his last fight, and that is an opponent that they have in common. They both have fought Danny Jacobs. Canelo beat Jacobs. John Ryder edged out Jacobs. You could argue it was a draw or that even Jacobs won, but the point is John Ryder's getting his shot at the title, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of fans who do not like that fight because they're going to say John Ryder's this, that, and the other. John Ryder's no pushover. Let's get that straight. So it'll be a good fight.
I wouldn't say a pushover, but
no, not at all.
I also don't think the likeliness of like some crazy upset. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The way he fights. But
and it'll be Canelo's first time fighting in Mexico in over a decade. So
really?
He's been wanting to do this for a while now. So
yeah, I didn't know it was that.
It'll be a huge event, especially in Mexico. Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. I'm looking forward to that. And then the other news that we wanted to touch on, I'm trying to think of what the other news was that we were trying to highlight. Oh, yeah. Well, Usyk Fury still hasn't been announced yet, and I still don't know why that's taking so long. Alexander Usyk had said a while back that they already had their end signed, sealed, and delivered, and they're waiting on Tyson Fury, which I'm a little shocked that it's taking this long because Tyson Fury is always ready to fight people. At least it seems that way. And now, what's the holdup? Which is unfortunate. And more so, I hope it happens on April 29th because before we went on air, I was reading something on social. I think it was Dan Canobio posted on Twitter saying that potentially we can have Usyk Fury during the day in the U.S. And then at night, we get Virgil Ortiz against Amantis Estanionis, which is going to be an excellent fight at welterweight. So I hope we get Usyk Fury signed, sealed, and delivered because we already have Ortiz and Stanionis for the 29th of April. That would be an awesome day of boxing if we got those two fights on that same day. So I hope we get Usyk Fury signed and sealed by the end of this week or maybe next week. I don't know what's taking so long. Again, I thought Tyson Fury was ready to go. So I hope we get that fight. What
is it they have? Frank Warren, he says on TalkSport he has provisionally booked Wembley Stadium for the 29th.
Okay.
And it's the deal's almost done.
Oh, that's right, because originally it was going to be in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
But now it's been moved to UK, which I'm sure the UK fans love.
Yeah.
They would have preferred it in the UK, I would have imagined. So that's great. And the last one I wanted to touch on was Andy Ruiz, because I'm a little confused because we've gotten originally it seemed like he was going to fight Deontay Wilder, but then we got some news this week saying that he's going to fight, or the IBF I think it was ordered purse bid with Hrgović.
Yeah.
So now I don't know. Are we going to get Andy Ruiz versus Deontay Wilder? Or are we going to get Andy Ruiz versus Hrgović? Either fight is going to be difficult for Andy Ruiz. It's just which one is it going to be? I think it'll be Deontay Wilder because they share the same stable. They're both PBC fighters. And then Hrgović is with... I'm not sure if he's with Matchroom, but I know he's not with PBC. I know that much.
So it's interesting. What some of the reports are saying is that Wilder does not like the deal from PBC for the eliminator, right?
Mm-hmm.
And looks like he's considering another fight. Like, I don't know how to believe it, but like either Ngannou or Tyson Fury again.
Tyson Fury again?
I don't know.
I don't know about that. I think he'd have a better shot against making Ngannou. But then again, a few people have called out Ngannou. I know Eddie Hearn mentioned Ngannou for Joshua. Now Wilder's mentioning Ngannou. Yeah. I know, of course, we've seen the publicized back and forth with Tyson Fury and Ngannou when Ngannou was at his fight. Apparently, everybody wants to fight Ngannou.
Yeah.
Because they know it's a money fight.
So this is from the 9th?
Yes, I saw that he's saying they'll do boxing and MMA. There's no way how long do you think that fight would last if it was MMA with Wilder and
Oh,
his legs?
no, not long at all.
I would think seconds, no?
No, I mean,
Unless Ngannou wants to say, let me carry this for a little bit.
yeah,
Because if I'm Ngannou, I don't stand in trade. Whether it's MMA or boxing, you better move no matter
yeah,
which one you pick.
but it'd be an interesting fight because I think that's part of what Ngannou's plan going is like. Yeah, I can take a punch. I'm gonna go in there, just fucking wing it.
You could take a punch, but Deontay Wilder's a
No,
different
not
animal.
specifically Wilder. I'm just saying coming into boxing.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like he
And
has
more
that.
importantly, MMA guys have stand up. It's not like they don't know what
Yeah.
they're doing. I
I
mean,
mean,
I hope Ngannou gets a fight soon. I would prefer MMA first, no, and then do a boxing match. Or what do you think?
no boxing.
So
'Cause
boxing first,
yeah,
and then
because
like
he's not gonna make shit for MMA. And
you
then
don't think the PFL or Bellator will pay him something significant?
not what he wants. They don't have. He's gonna give fuck all about 1 million tournament, which he has to go through like multiple fights. He wants a 1 fight contract deal, and so boxing will give that to him.
Yeah,
You
that's
know?
true. And he could potentially make
Yeah.
8 figures in boxing.
Oh, 100%. You
If
know?
it's a match. If it's Tyson Fury, he can make 8 figures. If it's Anthony Joshua, he can make 8 figures.
Yeah.
Even maybe Deontay Wilder, he can make 8 figures.
Yeah, but it would be 1 time fight,
Yes.
one deal, and that's I think what he's more looking for.
Yeah, and I hope he gets it. I
Yeah.
want to see Francis Ngannou get paid.
Yeah.
I think he deserves it without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah,
I still think a PFL or maybe Bellator would at least offer him like 5 million. You don't think?
yeah, I mean, it would be. I would see probably more from Bellator than PFL. Because they have more heavyweights than Bellator.
Right.
Well, not really. Think about it. Ryan Bader is a
Oh.
heavyweight in
I thought
Bellator.
Ryan Bader was a light heavyweight.
He was, but he moved up to heavyweight when he fought Fedor.
Fedor, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
so-
what I thought.
And
Okay.
he's heavyweight champ.
Hmm.
So, yeah, I don't know.
Well, yeah, we'll keep an eye out for that.
All right. I
But
think
yeah,
this-
that about does it for us, John. And what do you think? What should they do?
always comment, like, subscribe.
Hit the bell notification button if you haven't yet so you can see when we post another video. And please check out our social media and let us know what you think. Thank
Oh.
you very much, guys. We'll catch you on the next one.
All right. Just bleed.